A true miracle occurred at this crop circle on the 16th of June 2026. The crop circle appeared in Groveley Wood, which is an ancient English woodland just 6 miles from Stonehenge in Wiltshire, in England. The crop circle was first reported on the 15th of June. I visited it on the 16th, the second day, and I filmed drone footage of the whole field until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The following day, I saw a post online from a lady who was there later that evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on that second day, and she reported a new shape in the formation had miraculously appeared while they were there, just a short distance from where they stood. A drone camera pilot was also there, and he was filming the whole field until just after 8 p.m. Then around 9 p.m., the new shapes were discovered by another younger drone pilot who was filming later on, after the first pilot stopped filming. And the new formation was in the shape of angel wings. Now this all happened just a few days before the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, so it doesn't get dark until about 10 p.m, so the whole field was clearly visible at that time. The energies in the main crop circle were interesting. When I visited the crop circle on the second day, during the afternoon, I lay in the centre circle and there were strong feelings of a spiralling energy. Shortly after, a lady arrived with dowsing rods, and the rods showed a clear spiralling energy pattern. I've been visiting crop circles since 2003, and I haven't had such a strong spiralling energy as that felt before. And when I visited this crop circle again 2 days later, I lay in the newly formed angel wings. The energy was very pure, very comforting, and very loving, quite different to the main crop circle area. In fact, I would say it was actually an angelic energy. There was also a beautiful mist over the field that morning, and I flew my drone high above the mist to film some beautiful, magical footage of the new angel wings, with the mist gliding across them. So I contacted the lady who posted the report online, and on the fourth day, herself and another lady, who was also there that evening when the angel wings appeared, both very kindly agreed to meet me at the crop circle to be interviewed. And this is their fascinating account of what happened.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into our video today. I'm joined by these two ladies in this crop circle who had just a most amazing experience here a couple of days ago. The crop circle was reported on Monday, and the following morning I came and I bought my drone camera and I filmed the whole area, the whole field. And then the following day I saw a post online by one of these ladies that they were here in the evening, and whilst they were here, this area of the crop circle appeared whilst they were here with nobody in this area. So the ladies have kindly agreed to come back and answer some questions, which probably hundreds of questions, but so we'll get through as many as we can. So thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
So can you talk us through what first happened? What time did you arrive?
We arrived about 7 p.m. and to start with, there was only a very small crowd of people, but as we got to about 8 p.m, there would have been about maybe 10 of us, all congregated in the middle of the crop circle. Really lovely vibe. Some of us had instruments, and there was a professional drone photographer who also had his drone up, and he was scanning the area for a very, very long time, taking pictures and videos. And his drone came down, I think, around about 8:30. And around about that time, a group of young boys came to the field. They must have been between 16 and 20. There were 4 of them, and one of them had a homemade drone. He put that into the air at around about 9 o'clock, and he had his VR goggles on, and as he was zooming around, he asked the other man with the drone, "Oh, have you seen these section crop circle?" And he said no, and then he asked all of us, said no. someone said, "Where is it?" And he said, "Well, it's just over here," which it really isn't too far away from the crop circle. So the professional man with the drone popped his drone up, and sure enough, there was this amazing pair of wings here. And
So,
what else to see?
so the logical mind immediately says, where were those young guys?
We saw them enter the field. See, it's quite a flat field. We saw them enter the field, all four of them on this side, sideways, and they were all stood in the middle. The Tyler and the droner, Oliver with goggles on. The others were Steve to us. And I took some pictures on my phone, just videos. So we got pictures of them stood all around the middle of the clock too. So. And they certainly won anyway.
And the amazing thing is that this crop was quite short, as you can see, it's very height. So even if you were to just sit down, hopefully you can still see me, I can see the whole field even when I'm sitting down. So if you guys, what was there, about 10 of you or 12 of you? You would all been facing different directions. So somebody in that centre circle would have had a view of this area.
Absolutely.
And you'd have clearly seen somebody messing around over here.
Yeah.
But we were all together. We
were all together. And the proximity of twins, of course, said those. We would have definitely seen somebody that.
Just mind-blowing. I mean, we've only walked along the track to tram lines. We're very careful not to tread on any fresh crop. And so if somebody was trying to sneak in and do this, it's a good 400 metres down to the edge of the field of this sort of traits high. And they would have had to crawl on their belly to come in and then crawl in here and do, with no measuring equipment that they've had to run to, perfectly symmetrical shapes, perfectly mirroring each other. And they would have had to have done it within the space of a couple of minutes and then crawled back on their belly out of the field. And it's very hard, stony ground. It would have hurt a lot. That's absurd. I can't entertain that theory. It is just mind-blowing.
It is absolutely.
It happened within a few minutes from when the other guy brought his drone down, and the other boy, you said that he was whizzing his drone around.
Yeah, to start with, he was whizzing his drone around really quickly. I think he was enjoying just being crazy with it, and I think they were up kind of looking for their mum's pair of glasses that she left earlier in the day.
I would like to add that when I was there in the afternoon, another lady who was there then as well actually found a pair of glasses in one of the outer circles and asked if they were mine. I said no, and she placed them to the edge of one of the outer circles so they didn't get stepped on, assuming the owner would come back later looking for them. So the boys were telling the truth.
And then shortly after visiting around, then I think he must have probably had a look and then seen it.
And then I think you said online, immediately afterwards, the other guy with the drone checked his footage from a few minutes earlier, and this wasn't there.
And then it wasn't there. I went home with so many questions that I found it really difficult to sleep. Just, how did it get there? And it's the fact that I just genuinely don't think anyone could have come in and made these markets whilst you were near.
There's only one explanation, and it has to have been some other force, some other consciousness or something that has created it. And why not? Why should you restrict on the
Absolutely.
This physical form?
And I just want to add that there was no noise and no sound, because and no lights, no nothing. So
okay. So no visible signs of it going down.
No.
Some people have reported seeing balls of light, black and corn, but there was nothing like that. It just 1 minute it's not there, a couple of minutes later it's there. And you guys had a perfectly great view of the whole field all the time. You would have seen somebody, you could even see someone crawling around.
Yeah, I mean the crops are so low. Yeah, they're like virtually legal. Yeah.
I think that's so. My bum and everything in the field.
Yeah.
Wow. So much.
Yeah.
But if I could bring in this other lovely lady, can you tell us how you felt about it?
Well, I was in the middle. That's between you two, chatting. And those boys, I know them for 7 years.
Okay.
Because they came to me and said, "Oh, you live." That's where I live. And I said, "I know you two." And so I saw them fiddling around the game of their homemade drove. And one of the boys said, "Miller's permit." That was it. Us and me in the last 10 minutes when we were in there. Yeah.
What did you both think when you came in and saw them? What was your first reaction?
I feel like, well, it was such a shock because we weren't expecting it at all. And
Being so symmetrical as well.
yeah, we were just amazed. And then of course you start asking questions of how they got there. Was he ahead before? Yeah.
Why goes into
And I feel like we all led sight. Yeah, we all led without really enjoying them. You know, some people felt slightly spooked at their nerds. So yeah, it's nice to come back to see them, you know, day again.
Oh, well, thanks so much for answering all our questions and telling the story. That's just, I've been visiting crop circles since early 2000s, and I've heard lots of strange stories, but there have been people that have come up with theories and things to explain how it could have happened. But with the drone footage of the first guy, who clearly filmed this just minutes before it appeared with it not there, and with a group of people just 20 yards away from where we are, with a clear view of this area, and you're not seeing anybody over here. If you can take a in silence. Thank you both so much.
Yeah. Pleasure.
Okay, so I'm now sitting inside the main formation, on the edge of the formation. I'm sitting right down on the floor, and my head can clearly see the whole field, and the lady is pointing exactly to where the angel wings are, just a few yards away, everything clearly visible. So explain that if you can. The first drone operator, Tom, later posted this online. Yesterday at evening, I visited the latest crop formation at Grovely Wood. Very lovely place. After taking a few pictures by my drone, I dwelled into discussion about crop circles with a lovely lot of people who gathered there from different parts of the world. There were about 10 of us. All of a sudden, a rather young chap called James, who just abandoned flying his fast, sporty drone, approached us and announced that there is a second one. I asked him, but what second one? And he said, the wings. He took us along the tram line about 10 metres away from the border of the original crop formation, and we all saw these two wings that none of us saw before, either by droning or walking the area. The atmosphere became very sombre. I took my drone and took a few pictures, as I had only a little bit of juice left in one of my batteries, and it was also getting dark. Well, I don't know what else I can say. I contacted Tom online, and he also kindly sent me a detailed account of his experience that evening, and he has given me permission to narrate his account here. He wrote, "It is always good to be cautious and sceptical. For me, this situation with the new wings was at that time also testing my ability of judgment. Taking all circumstances into account, I am of the opinion that the wings could not have been made by any person, unless it was Houdini. He was a famous escapologist. Even if it was a Houdini-like person, I have noticed a few details within the wings that are characteristic only for real crop circles. I came to the formation at approximately 6:45 p.m. and started taking pictures using my phone until 7:10 p.m. I was drone flying from 7:15 p.m. until 8:09 p.m. According to a lady there, James started flying his drone at 8:51 p.m. So my assumption is that James stopped flying his drone and came to me to tell me about the wings at approximately 9:10 p.m. I asked him to take me to them. It was actually very close, about 10 meters away from the body of the main crop formation. I took my drone and recorded until 9:35 p.m. Then I took my phone and recorded on my phone. When I looked at them closely from the tram lines, I could not see any broken, squashed or damaged stalks. The left side wing had a two-directional lay. The crop on the left side of that wing, about 1 foot in width, was laid towards me, and the rest to the right was laid away from me. This two-way current in one path happens very rarely in crop circles. Once I heard in a lecture, if you were to lay a crop circle down using a plank of wood, you would achieve quite a big mess on the border where the two currents meet. Also in the left-sided wing, there was 1 or 2 stalks that stood straight up in the middle as if untouched. I believe this is a joke, sometimes left by the real crop circle makers, and I mean the real ones. Now the right-sided wing was laid all away from me. However, in the middle there were 2, then 3, and then again 2 stalks leaning at 45 degrees angle against the current. Well, after examining it, I went for the drone to fly it. Meanwhile, a woman had entered the wings, so she could have done some small mess to the carpet of it. Now, after landing the drone, I returned to the wings to take a few photos and video footage, both from the outside and inside of the wings. During my time in the crop formation from approximately 6:45 p.m. until 9:45 p.m., I was very vigilant and active, apart from just a short moment when I answered somebody's questions. I left the circle at 9:51 p.m. as the last person. The crop was relatively short, approximately 60 centimeters high. The area is flat, and it was quiet in there, like in a forest. So Tom stopped using his drone at around 8:10 p.m., and James started using his around 8:50 p.m. So the formation would have had to have appeared during those 40 minutes, while everyone was there gathered together in the centre circle, all facing different directions, all able to see the entire field clearly. Somebody in those group of people would clearly have seen a person just about 20 meters from the center of that crop circle in the field laying down crop if they had tried to do that. And yet none of those people there saw anything, and they were all facing in different directions. They would have all seen somebody somewhere entering the field and of course laying down the crop, but they saw nothing.
Oh, it wasn't there a minute ago. It wasn't there. When we come here at 5 o'clock, that wasn't here. And now it's 10 o'clock. Bye!
What's your name?
Bye. Do you want a photo together?
Yeah, let's take, because I tell you, something happened very important here.
You're not going to be in it? You don't want to be in it? Why not? Why? Are you scared? Why are you scared?
After I visited this crop circle, I discovered this wonderful video online by a talented channeler called Brad Johnson. He gives information that he channeled from a wonderful higher being called Adronis, whom he has been channeling for many years. Adronis showed him a vision of parts of this crop circle back in January, 5 months before it appeared, and Brad has that original video on his YouTube channel. And Adronis said, in the summer of 2026, this particular upcoming crop circle will represent a portal that will give us a deeper connection with other worlds and extraterrestrial consciousness. We will also see more positive changes in our society after it appears. There is also another video after this in which Brad channels Adronis live, and he goes into much more detail about this crop circle. saying it was created to open up your eyes, opening your minds to revealing there is a lot more to your reality than what you believe. It is not just about your physicality. And so that's quite profound that Brad actually was given images in a channeling of this particular crop circle months before it appeared. So there is a link to both these videos in the description below my video here. So please watch them, as they contain much more fascinating information than I've shared here.
So when I was here on the first day, I brought this plant choir instrument with me, which you clip it to a plant and it records the electromagnetic energy that a plant is giving off, and it converts it into sound waves and then musical notes. So you're actually recording the music effects that the plant is giving off. And so I did this to a plant in the center of the crop circle. I also did it to one of the plants, since with these are jewels. This was noticeably different. So I'm going to edit a video together with that music on. I've got lots of lovely drone footage of this whole field area, with and without the angel wings. So I'm working on producing that film at the moment. Hopefully that will be out next week. So please subscribe if you want to, and opt out, be the notification of being this out. Thanks so much for watching.